I am a high school English teacher. And for the last 7 years, on the 20th of every month, the state of Texas, in its infinite benevolence, has seen fit to give me a paycheck. A paycheck that is a disgrace to other paychecks. Other paychecks give my paycheck an atomic wedgie and shut my paycheck into a locker. But if you ask me, my personal wealth, much like the faith of a child, is immeasurable. So I ask you not to measure me by what I take home at the end of every month, but rather by what I go home with every day, because I go home every day with the realization that some of these inner-city street kids that most people see as no good hood rats, well, some of them will grow up to be lawyers and doctors and dreamers and song singers, and I am a small part of that. Because in my classroom, I make my students press the pencil down hard when they write so as to leave an impression on things that they were not intending to impress. In my classroom, I make my students ask the biggest question of all. Why? And more importantly, I make them answer it. Like, why do we live in a world where it thinks of young people and writing, it thinks of text messages and not poems, or even better, why don't young people text message poems to each other? Maybe it's because somewhere along the way, someone forgot to teach them that there is magic in words. So I make my students read. I make my students read 2 plays, 5 novels, 12 short stories, and 142 poems every single year. And after we reach that point in the crucible where imaginary oak trees with real nooses dangling from them take them somewhere between a child's imagination and the gray carpet of my classroom, and Proctor's neighbors have hung for their silence, and they hear him scream in desperation, because it is my name! Because I cannot have another in my life! Because I lie and sign myself to lies! Because I'm not worth the dust on the feet of the hanged! I've given you my soul. Leave me my name! Well, that's the day I make my students realize these words like courage, honor, truth. These are the words that we live and breathe and die for. So don't measure me by my tax bracket, because I make poets, damn it. And yes, on the 20th of every month I do get a pathetic excuse for a paycheck, but I get so much more than that. Because in return for all that I get to witness little miracles every day. Like last week, when I saw 2 wannabe thug vato locals who looked so much like each other they could have been cousins do what most civilized countries on this planet cannot do. Unclench their fist and choose not to fight. Or like yesterday, when John, my only deaf student this year, confided to me that he restores antique radios because he likes the way static feels in his palms, and I hate myself for not saying, John, your hand's the most beautiful voice I've ever seen in my life. And then there are miracles like today, when Clay raised his hand in classroom and called on, had this to say, I don't like that film Alexander that made that dude seem like he was gay. And that's right, when Trey said without raised hand or permission, Alexander was not gay. He just liked having lots of sex with men. And yes, I must confess that I desperately want to shout with all of my soul, Trey, you're fucking awesome! But I didn't. Instead, I just said, Trey, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. Yeah.